What's up? This is JP Arencibia, and you're listening to Chasing Birdies.
You are listening to this week's episode of Chasing Birdies, and it's a leap year, bud. Today is a leap year. We're not even into March yet. Typically, we start a new season in the early part of March, but today we are starting season 4 of Chasing Birdies. What's up, bud?
Welcome, dude.
Yeah,
Awesome.
welcome.
It's our 4th season of Chasing Birdies.
Yeah.
Everyone said we couldn't do it, and we did it.
Yeah,
It's officially our last
it just shows you, man, that
episode on a leap year.
Exactly. And, people, you guys can do anything you put your mind to. You don't got to be good. You don't got to be great, but you can do it. Just look at us. So, yeah, but hats off to you for staying committed and focused for, how many episodes we have done now? 90? I don't know. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to continue that journey starting with today.
Today's episode is brought to you by Red Vanley, so make sure you go on over to redvanley.com and check out all the gear. I know I got some packed today until Sunday as we make our way to the Pine Needles, the 30th annual Pine Needles Invitational. And we're going to have a lot of content, I'm sure, coming through on it. We got the OGs, Ian Patrick, Ryan Bashauer, Brandon Katz of John the Pepe, and then we got 2 add-ons. We're still trying to talk to the committee and see how they got in, but Neil Walker and Eric Tangerati making their way down to Pinehurst for the 30th annual Pine Needles Invitational.
Dicey, but I love it. The one
It's
thing
great for us.
Yeah. And the one thing about Pine Needles is that generally speaking, it is one of the first tournaments you play in the year. So everybody's got rust on them, coming down from the north going south. We got rust. So for a guy like Tango, although I hear Tango is, he's been grinding a little bit.
Grinding from what I hear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've heard people at Allegheny that he doesn't think I know, but I know, telling me how bad he's been or how hard he's been working. So listen, guys, I'm excited for everyone for this event. I mean, here's the thing. It's a gross event, and there's no shots, as Steve Perrin came to find out. He thought the scorecards were going to be dotted up last year. Nothing. Go get them, play your best, and have some fun. That's the most important thing, which I cannot wait for the Pine Needles Bar after our rounds. And like you said, we all talk about how we should have shot 70, but we were 10 shots short. So.
Yeah, that'll happen. Everyone, if you guys are out there listening, you play with golfers, every time you sit down with someone, they're like, well, I missed five putts inside 3 feet, so
Dude,
I shot
just tell me what
78.
you shot.
I should have
Just tell me
shot
what you shot.
70. Right.
I don't need a dissertation on how
Right.
your round went. I just said, how would you shoot? Well, I hit the ball really well. But
Yeah,
just tell me what you
Just
shot.
give us the answer.
I'll tell you who's going to be shooting some scores, boys. I think the Live Tour made out on this one with Anthony Kim.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens, dude. I know he's making his debut, but
I think the PGA Tour dropped the ball on this one. I know that he had an insurance policy with the PGA Tour due to an injury. And I'm willing to gamble, I don't know this, but I'm willing to gamble that the Live Tour paid back that insurance policy for him as part of his deal to get him. Do I think he's going to be successful? Don't know. But I definitely think the PGA Tour could have gotten him to be a part of their model, get some ratings up for at least a year to get something exciting, because what we're being shown right now is not that exciting on the PGA Tour.
well, bud, I mean, look at Jake Knapp. My man rolls into Mexico. He's a bouncer, and he just takes down over $1 million, finishes up his, I don't even know what his final score was this past weekend, minus 18 or something, 19 under par. Hadn't played. And there you go. But yeah, to your point, but I don't know if I agree with you 100%, dude, because Anthony Kim is Anthony Kim. And he might boost the ratings a bit, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's kind of like, it'd be like Adrian Peterson coming back and being like, oh, fuck, I'm
A little
running
bigger,
back.
but I'm not really asking for your opinion.
No, I don't think it is. I don't think it's going to, but if he starts playing well.
But the guy was the
I don't-
closest thing to Tiger Woods.
No, but there's nothing close to Tiger Woods.
I'm saying that people would pay attention to.
Okay. All right. You're right. pay attention, bud. You can't even pay attention. So what are you talking about? Like, you give a fuck if Anthony Kim's on TV. No, you don't.
I'd rather watch Anthony Kim than freaking Bo Hostler and his tour visor.
All right. So today's guest, JP Arencibia, and you and I, infused some new life into the podcast starting this episode today. I got to give a little shout out because I told you, to J.R. Hess, Jr. up there in Wexford. We're having lunch. He's talking about the dilemmas in golf, all the dilemmas. Why don't you have a dilemma central or a dilemma controversy topic? Great idea. Let's put it into motion. So today we introduced that to the Chasing Birdies listeners. The Golfer's Dilemma. It airs towards the end of this episode with JP Arencibia. And I tell you what, it's a great one. We should have discussed it a little bit more. I was surprised by his answer. Were you surprised by his answer?
Very surprised by his answer. I think a lot of people would go the other way. I think if we do a little poll on Instagram, you'd have people go the other way. But hey, to each his own. That's his opinion. And yeah, I'm not going to argue with the guy. Sounds like he could throw me over a fence. But so yeah, I don't agree with him. But
yeah,
again, to agree to disagree.
Yeah,
I guess. Like the Anthony Kim situation, but
I'm done. I'm not even talking about it anymore.
You go watch the CW, and I'll go watch ESPN.
Well, it's not even ESPN. It's CW.
I'm watching the British Open on ESPN.
Okay. All right. Yeah, me too, bud. Okay. All right. Let's take this over here to this week's episode. JP Arencibia. Pep and I are going to have a little talk off the air here.
Yeah, bud.
And here we go. Season 4. Let's go. We're back this week on Chasing Birdies. And lucky for me, I have 2 JPs on this podcast today. And I'm not talking about Jonathan Pepe. I'm talking about JP Arencibia, the former MLB catcher here on Chasing Birdies. My man, what is up?
Not much. Just here in Port St. Lucie, beautiful Port St. Lucie for spring training.
There's some good golf there too.
Yeah, no, there's a new place called Astor Creek that just opened up that I've been going to. PGA's here. They have 3 courses, so we try to mix it up.
And you're now working for the New York Mets.
I am. I'm the bench coach in AAA, so I'm in Syracuse during the season. Actually, you know what? I used to think Wolf, but last year was my first year there, and it was good. And there's a great track there that I play. I mean, probably 4 times a week, and so it's gotten. I mean, it's not a bad. I live like 20 minutes north of the city in a little area called Baldwinsville. It's nice, small town. Apple orchards, blueberry farms. It's kind of dope.
They have what's the long peppers up there? What are they called?
Shoot, long peppers. I don't know.
They had. I went to this restaurant in Syracuse probably last year, and it's like they're famous for these peppers that are real long and thin. They're kind of spicy, but they are banging, man. They were so good. I have to look it up what they're called.
Now I'm gonna have to check it out. Something new for me in Syracuse.
Yeah, that's one. You know what? Syracuse is one place I've never been. Never.
I mean, it's not a bad city, actually. I when I played there at the end of my career, I wasn't too fond of it. But when you kind of get on the outskirts of it, I mean, upstate New York is beautiful. Lake Skinny Atlas is right around the corner. Turning Stone is a nice track. So I go out there and play Turning Stone. So there's some cool little hidden gems. Yeah,
that's just for us golfers. That's all we're looking for. Anytime we're on the road or in a new area, man, we're like, where's the course? What's the good track around here? You know, forget about the orange. Forget about the Syracuse orange. We want the golf. Where is it?
Yeah, that's honestly a lot of the things that I've been doing since I've gotten the coach. I try to golf is my out. Golf is like my mental out. So I like to go light up some cigars, get out on the course. And, I think that's, I get out at probably 6:50, whatever has the first tee time, right? I try to get out get my round done pretty quick, and then start the rest of my day, do the rest of the things, and then I get to the field probably like at noon. But I try every city I go to. I bring my clubs, and I try to tee it up at least a couple times.
So we have literally nothing in common about getting to the field or anything, but the cigars that you just said. That's our commonality here now. So, what are you smoking?
Well, right here is a little tatuaje. So this is a tatuaje Kohonu 2006. Let's see. Let's go into the little treasure box here. I have some. I have some stuff. I am very partial to tatuaje and fuente. I got a nice opus here. That's
Yeah.
that's a nice one.
Did you get
I
the
have.
rare pink from Opus yet?
Yes, I do. I don't have them here.
It's so good.
But yeah, they're. I mean, honestly, my uncle owns a cigar store in Miami. So War Havana, and I'm Cuban. So I grew up around the cigars, and as I've gotten older and not played and all that stuff, I really enjoy. That's like kind of my little vice, right? Like I like to have a stick. Sometimes I get to the field early and I'll sit in the stands and just have a cigar. So I mean, we're kind of chatting about it. I think cigars are such a beautiful thing. One, I mean, everybody when guys you go to a cigar lounge or anything, it's like everybody's on the same playing field. It's kind of
Yeah.
crazy. It could be a CEO of a company or
Right.
just a guy that's retired or somebody that just likes cigars and $6 stick, $50 stick, whatever it may be. No one cares. It's just like, hey, we enjoy the cigar and we sit there and chop it up.
That's the thing for me. I go to a cigar shop. It's 3 minutes away from my house, and literally everybody's in sweatpants, sitting around in these old 1960 barber chairs they have, and you just sit there and smoke. And no matter
Yeah.
what people have or who they are, we're all just chatting it up and having a glass of red wine with a cigar. It's awesome. I might take it over the top a little bit when we're playing golf. I mean, we set over unders on me for a weekend.
I mean,
It's a little
JP,
ridiculous.
this cat that you're talking to, I've never seen anyone. Well, I've never been around you smoking a cigar, but this cat just like it's like Zins for me. You throw a couple in throughout the day, no big deal. But my man, he literally sets over unders at 15.5 for a 3-day golf trip, and he hits them.
I like it though. That's the thing. Like, I love it, dude.
Yeah, no, I mean, around the golf, it's kind of funny because like I always mess around on like if there's the dude on the course that has a cigar while he's taking a shot, that's probably me. Like I'm, I mean, I'm like this,
Yeah.
and
Ah,
I'm on the tee box and
I
I'm
love
letting it
it.
rip. I mean, every once in a while, I'll smoke three around. But they're like it's funny because I always tell the starter, how the starters will say like, oh, okay, this tee position or whatever it may
yeah.
be today. And I'm like, listen, dude, let's be honest. I'm already under par. I'm about to light this bad boy up. And like at the end of the day, whatever my score is, which is usually not great, I mean, I'm gonna be under par because I'm outside. I'm enjoying. Like I'm kind of a nerd for like cut, like the manicured grass.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
I will pay money to go. I'm a little bougie with that, but I'll pay money to go to a nice track because I like it to be, manicured. I like it to be,
Mhm.
to look pristine, and then drive around in the cart. And there's a lot of times where I'll hit a shot and I'll tell, my cart mate, be like, hey, you drive. I'm just going to grab my 60 degree and I'm going to walk up and I smoke and I just enjoy it.
Yeah.
There's nothing
No,
like
it's
it. I
good.
mean, when you have a good golf course and a good cigar, I mean, what else in this world do you need? Now, my downfall is I come home, my wife, she makes me get naked, not for reasons I wish, but I got to take my clothes off in the garage because it smells like cigar and all this jazz, right? So I walk in the house with my underwear on. My kids are looking at me like I'm an idiot, and it's just because I smell like a cigar.
Yeah, that's my deal with my wife is as soon as I walk in, the clothes go in the hamper. I go into the shower and she hates the smell of cigars.
It's
It's so funny.
it's
She's the
terrible.
same thing. She's like, it's terrible. It's so bad. And I'm like, I know, I know that you don't like it, but I mean, like, I laugh because so the place I go to in Nashville, I live in Nashville in the off season, and the place I go to, it's like a bunch of old dudes, and they're great. And I'm like, listen, at the end of the day, like some wives have to worry about husbands going to bars. Some wives have to worry about.
This is what
I'm
I
like, listen, I'm sitting here with a cigar with a bunch of old men So you have nothing to worry about. Like
Yeah, nothing.
and she's like, what do you guys talk about? I'm like, honestly, if I told you the stupid stuff we talk about, you would think that we're idiots. But I mean, it's just like my zen.
Yeah.
I got. So where do you go in Nashville?
It's called Belle Meade Premium
Okay, so
Cigars.
you're out in Belmead. So when I travel to Nashville a good bit and I stay downtown, I go to the Monte Cristo, the lounge there. I love that's
Yeah,
beautiful. But
yeah, it is a nice lounge.
I heard a funny story. You'll appreciate this being from Nashville. Blend
Yeah,
over, which does hasn't been doing
It used to be they closed down, but it used to be the Davidoff bar.
Davidoff. Yes. So when it was Davidoff, there's a guy that always came in. They said once a week on Tuesdays he'd come in, drink Budweisers, and smoke a cigar and leave and whatever. So the general manager comes over and starts talking to this guy, and he's drinking a Budweiser, smoking a cigar, and the guy goes, "Man, this music is so bad. Like, I cannot take this anymore. I'm going to change it." And he said, "Well, why don't you like it?" He said, "It's just a terrible song." And he said, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I sing this song." And he said, "Luke Bryan, man, nice to meet you." And he's like,
Oh.
"Oh man, I love this song." But they said that he was just as good as could be, and again, nobody bothered him. He's just smoking a cigar and having a Budweiser.
Yeah, Stapleton comes into Belle Meade to pick up cigars. Dan Tominski, which I don't know if you know the name, but he's the Hey brother, with Avicii.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's the Hey brother guy. He's like one of the most world renowned like bluegrass pickers and all stuff like. But that's what I love about cigar shops, because
You don't
you
know.
go to like literally the place that I go to. There's guys that are. One guy owns a boat company that he started Triton Boats, and then he owns another boat like a company called Camus. There's one guy who's the CEO of HCA, which is an insane hospital thing. And then, I mean, there's people that high net worth people, but no one cares. Like we just like we laughed because there's one guy that came in there and was talking about all this stuff that he had and all these things, and we're like, no one cares. Like, really, no one cares. Like, at the end of the day, we just sit there. Everybody's free game. They talk crap to everybody. So that's the fun part about cigars. I've never really been to a place that there's like a true like
Right.
a douche,
Yeah.
like a guy that you're like, dude, just
Shut
beat
up.
it. Yeah,
Well, as you know, being in a Major League Baseball locker room, I mean, there's always somebody with more, right? That's not what it's about. It's just about being a good dude. And that's all you got to do when you go to a cigar shop or on a golf course. So you came from Cuba. And
my parents came.
Your
from
parents
Cuba.
are from Cuba. Where'd you grow up?
Miami, Florida. So my sister was the first one in my entire family born in the States, and then I was the second of our entire family. So I was born and raised in Miami. Lived there. I finished high school, and then I went to University of Tennessee. So I got drafted out of high school, didn't sign by the Seattle Mariners, and then went to Tennessee and really enjoyed it. I kind of fancy myself a Cuban cowboy.
There,
Yeah. I love
there you
that.
go.
Yeah, I mean, especially in your position, having the relationships in Cuba, which you had, it probably makes cigar smoking like literally part of your livelihood. Like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I grew up with my granduncle. He was a big cigar. He lived behind me. He used to smoke cigars. Like I said, my uncle. I call him my uncle. He's like an uncle. He owns Sabor Havana in Doral, and I grew up. I mean, I've been hunting since I was a kid, and so my uncles would always be out there smoking cigars. My first cigar ever was when I signed professionally, and my uncle gave me a Forbidden X, and I smoked it, and I stood up, and then I sat back down for the next 30 minutes, wanting to throw up. And it scared me from cigars for many years, and then as I've gotten older, I've just been able to just enjoy. Like, I just love a stogie, man. It's something that I do some of my best thinking. I come up with some good ideas. It's just a relaxing thing for me.
And that's it's so funny because I don't think you guys have time, and you correct me if I'm wrong, during the season. You don't have time to smoke a cigar because you got games every day. You kind of got to be in shape and be conditioned, and that's not helping it. But Neil Walker, as I asked you before, he's a good friend of ours, and dude, he's the same way right now. He loves a cigar. I mean, just go play golf, smoke cigars, and it's like he's a play-by-play for the Pirates now. And I had to drop something off to him at the stadium at PNC Park, and I gave him a cigar. He said, "This is perfect." He said, "We smoke cigars 2 hours before we have to call the game." So they're all there smoking cigars beforehand, all the play-by-play guys, and then they call the game and they go home.
Well, you know what's funny is I would have agreed with you, but then I saw. Did you ever see The Last Dance with Jordan?
Yeah, that's
And
so cool.
this dude was ripping Lanceros before games and dominating people. So I'm like, I mean, could I have smoked cigars and been there? I mean, that dude was a freak. So I saw Alex Castellanos, who with the Phillies, he likes a cigar. I think it's Alex Castellanos. Wait, maybe not Alex Castellanos. But the Castellanos that's the outfielder for the Phillies. And he was sitting there, and because I used to do the color. I used to do the same thing that Neil's doing for the Marlins.
Okay.
And he was sitting there before anything opened up, just sitting in the stand smoking a stogie. And I said, "Dude, you're a cigar guy?" He said, "Yeah." I brought him a stick the next day. He was like, "Oh, this is a good stick." I'm like, "Yeah," but I mean, there's a lot of guys. There's more guys that enjoy sticks, during the season than probably anybody would ever talk about. But I mean, I don't know. I like to say that you don't inhale it, right? So you feel a little bit better
Right.
about what you're doing.
Right. I mean, So.
Yeah, the nicotine. I remember the first time I put a chew in, I was like in 8th grade, and my cousin had a can of snuff, and I put that son of a bitch in my mouth, dude, and I thought I was cool, and I had a little can of Mountain Dew, and within 3 minutes, I was yakking. I mean, I was sick as a dog. And, so my dad smoked cigars, and I've been around cigars my whole life, and I just never really got into it, like, in a way. I'll smoke a cigar. I mean, we play around a golf, I'll smoke one maybe every, one.
That's not fun.
But, listen, I'm used to it, dude. Like,
You take vitamins while we play golf, so it's all good.
Right. I'm not talking down to you because you like to smoke 15 cigars in 4 days. I mean, I worry about your health though, bud. I got to be honest. I worry about your health, but outside of that, do you, bud? It's all good.
The biggest question is, and I know that I'm like this, but this is how I know if you're a real cigar guy. If you're over a putt and the smoke is going into your eyes, do you
can't breathe, boys.
do you just putt, or do you
I got to step away because I can't breathe.
Oh no, you see, I'm like, there's times where I'm like, it's in my eyes, and I'm like, I don't care, I'm still banging this thing, boom, and that's where I'm at.
Can you swing with it in?
Oh yeah, I'm legit. Like and it's kind of funny. It depends on
Can't do it.
what I'm doing. I put it down sometimes in the tee box, but my buddy the other day, he's like, I don't understand it, but every time you off the tee box, your cigar's in your mouth, but then when you hit your irons, it's not in your mouth. And I'm like, I didn't even notice that I was doing that.
Joe Neaporti, guy that used to work at a resort around here, gave me lessons for a couple years. His dad was the head pro at Wingfoot, Tom Neaporti, back in the day, but he quit smoking cigarettes, so he started getting on cigars. And by the end of it, he could not take the cigar out of his mouth. So he hit every shot with the cigar in his mouth. Like you just said, the putts, he's standing over the putts hitting cigars. And I'm like, how in the hell do you even focus? I don't know. It's a trait.
I don't know if honestly, I think that I when I play golf, and I have always said this, I played a game that, dude, it took so much out of my brain as far as the pressures and like trying to grind and anxiety and all this other stuff that you deal with, that when I played golf, and I always said, like, listen, if golf starts to become something that is like too much for me, in the sense of like I'm pissed off, or I'm letting it ruin my day, then I'm not going to be playing. So that's why for me, I think, even if we're betting and, putting a little money on and stuff like that, I might, be a little bit more focused. But dude, I just honestly, I play with guys, and I mean, there's some scratch golfers. We played with a pitcher the other day. He shot a 71.
Pitchers are so good.
I mean, dude, nasty. Like, he had 5 birdies and 3 bogeys on the back. Like, he could have even been better. And those guys are good. I've played with one of our coaches he's a 2 handicap, and he throws his clubs, and I tell him, like, hey, I'm gonna punch you in your freaking chin because I don't come for this stress. So if you're gonna be throwing shit, like don't
Like
be playing with me.
let's calm down. This shot means nothing. We're out here
Yeah.
having fun.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, whenever we're playing golf, honestly, we're there. We are there, A, to have fun, and B, to break away from real life. So, yeah, you can get upset, I guess, at times for making dumb mistakes. But like you said, man, I don't want to be in any stressful situation when I'm playing golf, especially if I'm playing with somebody I don't know.
Right.
But that's not fun.
Well, it's and the truth be told is, man, I didn't even know golf existed when I was a kid. Right? We didn't have any money. I didn't really get to understand the game of golf until, I signed and was able to now, get some stuff. But other than going to the range every once in a while, if I ever was around one and hitting some balls when I was a kid just for fun, like I didn't have the opportunity to go to these golf courses or play these golf courses or even grow up in it. So I think that really, now it's one of those things that I sit there and I'm like, dude, I didn't even know this existed when I was a kid. So I get to have the opportunity to go out and enjoy these things, thankfully, and I try to enjoy them. Like I
Yep.
really love it.
Where are you playing in Nashville?
So I played at the Golf Club of Tennessee, which is a really nice track. I've played at Hermitage.
Uh-huh.
I've played at the Gaylord. Recently, I have a buddy that is told me that next year, whenever I want, I can play at Old Hickory, which is supposed to be a nice
Yeah, that's a
track.
good one.
So
you played Troubadour?
No, I haven't played Troubadour. I know that I have the options, the opportunities. The problem too is like,
It's in the middle of
I'm
nowhere.
gone. Well, and it's also too, it's tough because I'm gone, 8 months out of the year. So when I get back home, it's my focus obviously is my wife because my wife doesn't travel with me. She does her own thing on with her job, and so when I get back, it's like tough to go like, hey, I'm gonna
Go
go
do
and,
this.
and play golf or whatever. So I
Right.
try to sneak away when I can, and then the only thing I will say is when it's cold outside, I don't care to golf.
Yeah.
Like if it's cold, I'm not playing
What's
golf.
your
It's got to
temperature?
be nice.
I'm
In
50.
the 50s.
I'm 50.
Yeah, 50.
And there's got to be sun. Like if there's no sun and it's 50, I'm out.
Yeah. I'm not, and I'm also not a big cart path only guy. When it's cart path only, like I'm like, I don't know if I want to do it.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, like, I don't know. There's part of me that really enjoys walking. I mean, especially if you have a caddy, but I don't mind carrying my bag at times. But whenever you do have
You're not
cart path
carrying your
only, when you get out there and they're like cart path only, it does. It's kind of like a drainer. You're like, what the hell? But yet at the same time, I'm fine with walking. So I don't know. I think I was going to say that I think cart path only, you're better off walking at that point.
I agree. I love the walk actually. I really do enjoy the walk. There's a lot of guys that don't like it. I love the walk. I've played some nice tracks. I played in San Fran that was you can only walk.
Yeah.
And it was nice. You have a caddy. I played one time. I was when I was doing TV. We were playing the Dodgers, and the USC golf coach. It was friends with the Tennessee golf coach, which I know. And he set it up. So we went out there, and he's like, "Hey, you mind playing with a couple of the players?" And I was like, "No problem." So me and one of the guys in the TV went out and played. It was them two and us two. And they're like, hey, we're going to walk and carry our bags because obviously in college, that's what you got to do. And so, dude, I played these 9 holes carrying this bag and walking around. And they're like, all right, dude, we're going to peel off. And I called down. I was like, I need a cart now. Like, I need a cart. Like, please, cart. Because that was a grind. So when you're push cart, great. Caddy obviously is dope. But when you have to carry your bag and walk around, that was a little bit of a grind.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what all these USGA events, man. You can have a caddy, but otherwise you gotta carry. The USGA Mid-Am qualifier at a course locally here in Farmington, Nemacolin Resort, which is 5-star, phenomenal. But Mystic Rock from one hole, from the green to the next tee box, is it's like a quarter mile actually. Maybe not quite that far, but close to it. Like every hole. And I played in that qualifier a couple years ago, and it's like, it takes you longer to walk between holes than it does to finish a hole, I feel like sometimes. It's nuts.
Yeah,
But
this place in California we played. It was in Palos Verdes, I think, and real nice track. Because I guess when you go to USC, they have like a couple of memberships at Riviera. They have like reciprocating for the
Yeah.
colleges, and so we played this nice track. I forgot the name of it, but it was like hilly.
yeah.
So you start grinding uphill with you're walking with this bag, and of course, I'm not expecting to walk, so I got all my crap in my bag. Right, I have
Hey, you got your rain
everything
gear,
that
you got everything.
yeah, everything that you don't need to be carrying, and I have it on there. So I just went with it, and it's a little bit of a grind, but regardless, man, God, golf is the best. It's such a humbling sport because the ball doesn't move. I used to hit baseballs that moved at 95, and now it's got white ball doesn't move, and I still can't square it up all the time. But I love it.
Yeah, it's the best. I think
How
so.
about Otani, man? How crazy is this guy?
I mean, he's a one off. I mean, I think that's when people talk about like Babe Ruth, right? You know, he was a two-way guy. Well, now you have a two-way guy at this day and age that's like superior pitcher, superior hitter, and I don't know if we'll ever see another guy like him during my lifetime. I mean, we may because maybe he's opening some doors for some guys that will eventually do that. But I don't see. I think that's why when people see the money that he got, like they're like, oh, this is going to be crazy. I'm like, well, is there anybody that's going to
Do what he
demand
does.
the market he has, the demand, the all the things that he can do? I mean, dude, he signs with a team. They right away they have all the TV rights in Japan. They have all these different sponsorships, marketing, all the different things, and to defer that money, he can do it because he makes so much money off the field, and not
It's
many people
crazy.
make anywhere near that. So, I mean, the dude's a freak. Where he hits baseballs, you see, because obviously I played in a lot of those stadiums, and when you see where some of the balls that he hits lands, you're like,
Oh.
that's like
Yeah.
crazy.
So you being a catcher, him being a pitcher, are you guys kind of how does that work in the major leagues? Like, are you getting the call from another guy as to what to give him the sign wise, or are you just basing it off of the batter?
No, so the catchers in the big leagues call the entire game.
Okay.
So I mean, and there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, right? I mean, you're understanding the entire lineup. So as a catcher, I'd get there early. I'm looking at the lineup. I'm looking at what they've done the last couple of weeks, and everybody prepares differently. And then you understand your pitcher. There's a ton of meetings that go on prior, right? So you kind of understand, hey, this is the lineup. This is how we're attacking first batter, second batter, third batter. Like, so you're kind of you're on the same page. But what's crazy and the fun part about catching and the fun part about pitching and just the competition is like we can come up with that entire plan, but he can go to the bullpen and he can have none of like two out of the five tools working, right? Like two out of the five
Right.
pitches working. And then he gets on the mound and you're like, okay, now he's got three. So I have to work with those three and try to figure out how I can get the other stuff going so that I can get it into the game. So you make plan A, you make plan B, you make plan C, but you're always constantly trying to
Change.
it's a cat and mouse game. I mean, because the other teams
Doing the
also
same thing.
understands, has the information, and they're like, all right, this pitcher throws this, and this, and so they come out and you may say like, hey, today we're going to attack early with fastballs, and the first batter of the game he jumps ship on the first pitch, and then the second batter gets another first pitch heater, boom, and he hits. And as a catcher, I got to go, hey, we got to flip the script. Like now I'm going to start throwing breaking balls early or changeups early because we have to deviate from the plan that we created because these guys are on a different wavelength today, so we have to switch it up.
Are they so back to Otani is with him being as good as he is, does the catcher ever just let him, hey, whatever you feel comfortable with, go with? Like if he gets in a kind of a heater.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. So some guys now with PitchCom has really opened up a lot of stuff because there's some pitchers that wear the actual there's like buttons. So there's some pitchers that actually wear the buttons, and
Oh
so
wow.
they'll call their pitch before they pitch it, before they throw it. So before, old school is like, you're
Yeah.
putting numbers down, yada, yada, yada. Now, there's some pitchers that want, like Max Scherzer, he had it on his glove. So he would like press the pitch and then the catcher would press the pitch so that they were both on the same page. But so some pitchers, yeah, they like to call their own game. Some pitchers like Mark Burley, when I caught him in Toronto, like he never shook. Whatever I put down, he was going, right? He didn't want to think about it. He didn't want to do it. So honestly, everybody is different, but you just have those relationships that you kind of know, hey, if it's a 1-0 count and I need to get a strike, but I don't want to throw a fastball, this pitcher uses this pitch. Like that's part of my job, is being able to understand the in and outs of the pitcher, because every pitcher is different and I need to know all the information. And at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, it's kind of nut cutting time. I'm going to go strength on strength. Like I always tell this to the pitchers. It's like, if I was a boxer and I had my right hand was like my right straight was like my knockout punch, but the boxer that I was facing, like he's really susceptible to left hooks. Like, and I go in there and I just try to throw left hook after left hook and he knocks my ass out. I'm like, well, I didn't go down on my best punch. And so at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, you're not going to get beat on your third or fourth best pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. Little strategy there.
It's like a quarterback receiver type thing.
Yeah. When you were in Toronto, was Batista there? Did you play with him?
Yeah. I played with him all 4 years.
I mean, he was, back in that time, man, I remember watching him. He was a powerhouse. Home run.
You know what? He was an absolute animal, but the thing is like the work that he did behind the scenes was like second to none. Like when we talk about studying, like these guys, and I'm sure in anything, right? Like the best of the best are obsessed with their craft. And these guys, when the game started, he knew exactly what the pitcher was going to try to want to do to him. He's watched enough video. He's come up with a plan. He's formulated everything, and he just knew himself. And he was on a different level. But everybody saw the home runs and all the things he did on the field, but no one really got to see, which I was privy to. Is like, this dude was, a very cerebral player. Like he was always studying, always understanding himself and the guys, and that's what made him special. Along to go with talent, but like the best ones, like even here, like Francisco Lindor, the dude is spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's the first guy in the weight room. Like the guy is he works with the nutritionist to the hitting coach to the analyst to everybody that he possibly can. This dude is maximizing everything, and you see why these guys are so good, because they're literally like obsessed with their craft.
You, with respect to baseball today, I do find it, from my perspective, more enjoyable to watch with that clock. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you agree with me because you were on the other side of this, but I do. I kind of like it. What are your thoughts?
I love it. I think it's great. I think it's sped up the game. I think it's made it a lot more feasible to watch.
Yeah,
like I think
totally.
I think it's like, I was doing TV and I remember there was a game, the Dodgers versus the Marlins, and it was only a 2-1 game. And like game like that usually is under 3 hours, right? Like a low scoring game. It was like 4 hours long. It was watching like paint dry.
Yeah.
And last year it was 245, 250, like under 3. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, damn, this is nice. Like this is a lot better. So I think that they did a great job with what they've done. And they even moved it down 2 more seconds this year. So last year it was 15 seconds, nobody on, 20 seconds runners on. Now it's 15 and 18. So they've shaved off 2 more seconds. And then I think the next thing that's going to be coming through, which in AAA, we're a little bit of the test babies, is the challenge system. So the challenge system is each team gets 3 challenges for the game. If it's a strike or a ball, only the pitcher, catcher, or hitter can challenge it. And if you lose the challenge, it's gone. If you win it, you keep it. And then I think that's what event.
Do you think that's going to slow it down a little bit?
No, because we did it last year, and it's so like literally because it's instantaneous, right? So if I'm hitting, I take a pitch. He calls it a strike. I think it's a ball. I touch my helmet. he looks to the scoreboard or to the
Okay.
broadcast booth or whatever. It's challenged, and then on the big screen, just like in tennis, you know, on tennis
Yep.
where it shows like how it hits it shows the same thing. So it shows the visual, the ball coming in, boom, it's a ball, calls overturned, boom, and
So if you get
but
them all
it
right, you
keeps.
could just keep going.
Yeah, but you know what you realized is that one, umpires miss less than people think. You realize that hitters are good at understanding the zone, but they still think that there's strikes that are not strikes.
Mm-hmm.
And catchers know the zone the best, obviously, because I think they're the ones that, I mean, as a catcher, you know very well. And pitchers are the worst. Every time a pitcher challenged, I laughed because I was like, this is not good. They suck. They're not good at it. They think everything is a damn strike. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it creates entertainment. It creates the, you know, both sides, the accountability. And like what was cool was once the fans started understanding the challenge system, like, dude, there'd be in the seventh inning, bases loaded, 2 outs, 3-2 count, and the umpire would ring him up and the guy would challenge it and it would get overturned and the crowd would be like, oh, so the entertainment
Oh
value
yeah,
as well really was cool. So I think that that's something that eventually will come into Major League Baseball, and people will love it because it's fun.
that's awesome. That's cool. Outside of the big leagues now, I mean, I saw on your Instagram you have some type of fitness. Is it a business that you own, but you still staying in shape? Is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, so I became an owner of a gym. It's like a hit training facility that I really enjoyed, and I love fitness. I mean, I
Me
am
too.
very open. I struggled with mental health, and fitness was a big part of being able to get me back on my feet. And that was something that I think when people that compete at a high level, or anybody in general, but for myself, just speaking for myself, is like when sports gets done, there's no more competition,
Right.
right? And I got into jujitsu for a little bit, and that was fun. But then I started getting hurt, and I was like, man, I ain't trying to get hurt now
Yeah.
that I'm done playing, right? Like I already,
Mm-hmm.
and so I started to get into CrossFit, and then it was fun for me because it was like, all right, how many rounds, what's the most rounds somebody got today? And I was like, all right, I'm going to bury that person. And then that was like my competition, was like trying to just go in there. And people were like, dude, you're nuts. And I'm like, it's just, they didn't realize that it was more of a internal battle of like, you're going to die. And I'm like, nah, I got more in my tank. And, again, with the mental health stuff, I think that, a lot of times our brains kind of give us the wrong messages, and it's like kind of, Joe Rogan calls it the inner bitch. It's kind of just battling it out, and so fitness became something for me it's more of a mental
Yeah.
conditioning than anything.
And that's the thing that I think so many people that watch sports think of these athletes in the sense of like, oh, their lives are perfect, right? They're making tons of money and they're playing their dream. They don't realize that you guys are human beings and things happen, right, in your life, the mental health awareness and all that jazz. But there are serious things that happen in these athletes and celebrities' lives that people don't realize that these actually happen. They think that it's all, flowers and tons of money.
Listen, I've been around some of the guys that make the most money. Everybody has something they struggle with, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and whether they want to talk about it or not, we all, I had anxiety. I mean, that's kind of the reason why I ended up stopped playing, is because I was so scared to fail that it was like debilitating. And you start to realize, and then during the pandemic, it really like
Yeah, that
got
doesn't
me
help.
because you're sitting in a place by yourself. I was, single at this time, and all these thoughts start coming into your head. You're like, what the hell is this coming from? So,
Yeah.
there's a lot of guys that struggle, and people that struggle with stuff. And I think the more we talk about it, and the more we realize, like, that's not a crazy thought. That it's just, sometimes we have these thoughts. It doesn't mean anything, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't, but I used to get a thought and be like, what does that mean? Like, why am I thinking that way? Blah, blah, blah. So, there's a lot of people that struggle.
Mm-hmm.
I think that honestly, the truth is probably athletes are really good at hiding it because their whole life they've been told, like, suck it up, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
suck it up, suck it up. But what I always say to when I'm talking, and I do some things when I talk about mental health, is like, I go to the baseball stadium and I can leave, right? Like I go there, I'm out. Like if I have my struggles there, whatever, I can leave. But like your brain, if you think about it as a stadium, you're never leaving it.
Mm-mm.
And so that thing is there 24/7. And when you're struggling, as much as you want to not struggle, which eventually makes it even worse because you're fighting it, it doesn't go away. And that's why I think that, I take Zoloft. I'm like very open about things that I've taken, and it's helped me. But yeah, man, that's the truth of the matter is
Mm-hmm.
everybody struggles. It's just how much we want to be able to open up. And when
Yeah.
we do open up, you're like, all right, shit, I have the same struggles, and it helps you
Right.
because it feels like you're not alone in it.
Well, and that's kind of,
Totally.
again, back to our cigar talk, right? You're sitting in a circle with these guys. They don't know, right? You're just smoking a cigar, expressing how you feel because they're not going to judge you. And that's why it's so comforting to be able to do something like that with people that you don't know, right? So,
Yeah, that's why I really, so I did TV for a few years and it was good, did well. I actually won an Emmy award, which was cool.
That's awesome.
Um, but I wanted to manage, and to get into it because I've always felt like I have a gift to be able to connect with people and, um, have these conversations and talk to guys because I think that's the most important thing is like, when we're going good, I don't need anybody to talk to me. But like if when I'm struggling, like, hey dude, you like pump people's tires, like you're good, dude. Like as
mhm.
much as much as you can to just keep that conversation open and have those conversations and allow them to understand like I've been there too. I've had these thoughts. We've all, whether
Mhm.
it be in sports or whatever it may be, that can then free them up, and allow them to enjoy because the best thing on the planet, if I had a superhero, would be to be present. Like, how can I be present? Because we're constantly thinking about the past and the future.
Yep.
But when you're present, you're like legit. Like, it's like, you're like, damn, dude, I enjoy everything because I'm here. But when I'm thinking about other stuff, it's not. And so that's what I try to get across.
And something
That's
you
so
just said
true,
there
man.
is be present, and that's one of the hardest things to do. And you know, I saw, I think you shared your wife's post about she went to dinner. She's obviously living in Nashville alone while you're on the road, but she went to dinner and she looked at people, the husband, the wife, they're all on their cell phones, not communicating with one another. And that's like the new world now, right? And and I'm guilty of it. I'm as guilty of it as because you feel like, oh man, if I miss this text, the deal, that customer might be upset or this, that, the other. And in reality, it's like you got to set those expectations, right? Put the phone down, focus on one another, and enjoy dinner and catch up on your day or whatever. And again, I'm as guilty as anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we all are really. At the end of the day, like, listen, I think the one thing that I've learned is to give yourself grace, right? Like to understand, like, all right, we all have these struggles. Cool. Like, I'm not going to be perfect. Good. But how can I like realize, how can I see what my struggles are? How can I face those struggles and be able to, whatever it may be, and it might be not be a struggle, but like the phone or whatever it may be, to be able to actually be present. I mean, there's a lot of times where I'm sitting there on my phone and I'm like, why am I on my phone? I'm at a freaking game or I'm at this. Like, why am I just
Yep.
sitting here on my phone? I'm not even enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
Man, everything you said is like it just resonates with me so much. Like giving yourself grace, being vulnerable, being open in certain ways. And the biggest thing that we in this world face is technology, and it kind of takes away from the Sabbath, right? Like the day of rest. And I was going to a youth basketball game yesterday on a Sunday, and I thought to myself, I said, I think it's ridiculous that they play youth sports on a Sunday. Like, what I'm trying to incorporate on Sundays now is I'm not being associated with the outside world that isn't real. I'm going to be present. I'm going to be here. I'm going to enjoy the little things that I deserve to enjoy on this day because that's my one day where I get to do that. And I just thought about that this past weekend. Like, this world is so, the little things that used to matter. Back in the day, everyone would go to church on a Sunday, meet for a family dinner, and just hang out with family. What really matters. And in today's day and age, it couldn't be more opposite. I'm sure it's true in some pockets of the world, but in our American
Anywhere
culture,
opposite.
it is not that way. It's not.
Well, and I'll share you this is like when I was really struggling during the pandemic, I actually stayed with my sister because I was like scared to be by myself. Like legitimately, I was like, man, I got guns, I can shoot myself. Like I had all these crazy thoughts, and it scared me because I'm like, dude, I'm not a person that's suicidal. It's none of that stuff, but it was like, why am I having these thoughts? And I didn't want to be by myself. And there was many a times at night that I'd go to bed and I'd be praying. And this is what kind of helped me a ton was I'd be praying like, dude, I didn't care if my bank, I'd say like, I'd give every penny away in my bank account just to be able to be quote unquote normal, to wake up and not have anxiety, to not have the feeling that I have. Like I would have given it all away just to not have that feeling. And so when I sit there now and I'm like, at whether it be at night or whatever, it's like, dude, thankfully that I can be in a place where I look forward to waking up in the morning, or that I look forward to doing things, because for quite some time, like none of that stuff, I was just in a dark place and none of that stuff really did anything for me. And so it's like, that's one thing that really put in the perspective. And I think, little things happen after that. Me and my wife, we move in a house, and, I'm taking crap out of storage, you're moving all these things. And I'm like, man, I got all this bullshit that I don't even need. Like you realize, we always want to have this, the new thing, that. And I had like 6 shirts from Lululemon from the same colors that I've purchased over time. And I'm like, man, all this bullshit that I was like, that I needed to have, that really in reality, like
Doesn't matter.
meant nothing.
Yeah.
And that's something to me that really stood out, especially going through my struggles, is like, that's why ignorance is bliss. That's why they say ignorance is bliss. A lot of times it's just because I feel like you're just not worried about all the stupid shit that really a lot of high level thinkers think about, right? Because some of the most successful people in life are tormented by themselves because they're constantly trying to be, which is what makes people successful. But it's understanding like, all right, how can I bring it back
Balance.
to real? And I think also, and that's why I love cigars. That something, one thing that stands out to me. One, I love, me and my wife sit there at night, and that's something that we do. In the off season is we sit there and we watch movies or TV, and we're there with our dogs, and it's like that to me is like heaven, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't need anything else. Like I have my wife, my dogs. I'm there. We're chilling. It's great. And then if she's out, in New York working or whatever, like I might sit out by the fire pit and smoke a cigar, and I'm just like, looking at the sky, like taking it all in, because it's like, that to me is like, like relaxed. The world, nothing's like going on.
Mm-hmm.
That's man. I love that, man. I'll tell you what. That's where we connect. You connect with him on cigars. We connect on synergistic soul searching and idolism. Really, idol. Henry David Thoreau wrote about that.
I wish I could be. The one thing I want to get into is the cold baths. I've really like.
There you go, bud.
I'm so bad at it because I'm a chicken, but it's also one of those things where you have to be present.
You got to be
in those cold baths. I mean, you're like that stuff makes you be present, and it's such a battle, and it's something, again, I'm a chicken for it because I hate the cold, but those are those little things, and I think that's why people get so much out of it, because for those 3 minutes that you're in the ice bath or whatever it may be, like you're not thinking about anything else except for your breath and like trying to like, fuck, how am I going to survive this shit? And then true, when you get out, you have that euphoria, I think, and I'm not a scientist or a doctor, but I think it's because you're able to, like, for a minute, like all the shit that you have doesn't matter, and you're able to like get away from it and like come back to just being present.
Yeah. No, you're 100%. I mean, that is a mental grind. You got to sit there and focus on your breath and get yourself going through it. But yeah, it's good. I want to ask you something real quick before we pivot. Have you heard of a company called Health Via Modern Nutrition, HVMN?
Mm-mm.
They make these ketone. So it might be something you want to look at, because you know how like people take pre-workout before the gym, but it kind of gives you the jitters or gets the tinglies a little bit, blah, blah, blah. They make these ketone IQ shots. They're kind of expensive, but they're little shot bottles of ketones, and they give you natural energy boost, mental clarity. There's no crash. There's no sugar in them. They're just ketones. But I've been taking those probably 3 or 4 throughout the day. I take one mid-morning and then before I go work out. And I'm telling you what, man, it's something that you might want to look into to add to your routine with working out, because they are a game changer. 100%.
Well, and it keeps you fasted, I would imagine, because if they're ketones, then it's not there. There's no calories.
Appetite control is one of the
Yeah, because I'm big on, like, I love all that stuff. I love intermittent fasting. One of my family members does carnivore, and it's like the best he's ever been. Any of his blood work, any of that stuff, like literally ribeyes every day. And and my uncle is like dialed in, skin looks good. So I love all the stuff that comes along with it. I've seen people do like 72-hour fast. I've only done 24 hours, but anything that can help me feel better, especially with the mental stuff. That's what I dig into.
And then I could talk about this forever, so I better not. But I've been taking Sheila J in the morning with my coffee. It's like a black resin that's found in the Himalayas. Have you heard of that? It looks like tar. But this company called Symbiotica, which is out of San Diego, that makes all these supplements really natural. You probably heard.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, so they make a Sheila J resin. And in the morning, I put the little scoop in, and then I pour my coffee, and it melts into my coffee. And it's a game changer, too.
So, JP, long story short, bud, you and I will smoke cigars, and then you and Ryan can talk about this.
Health and wellness.
Well, you know what's funny? I'll tell you a funny ass story is when I was with the Texas Rangers, that was 2014, bulletproof coffee was like becoming a thing, right? Like butter, MCT oil, like put it in there. And so one of my teammates was like, yo, this stuff this dude is shredded, right? And he's like, this is what I take. I'm like, well, you take it, I got to take it, right? So I was playing first base at this time because Prince Fielder was hurt. And so no one told me that you need to like slow into this thing. You're not going like the full thing of MCT oil and butter and the coffee. Like you need to. So dude, I freaking take this bulletproof coffee before the game. And dude, I'm dialed in, right? Like I have my energy's up. But I sit at first base, and I felt like Dumb and Dumber, where the laxative hits him, and I was just like, I was like, dude, chills. I'm like, oh my god, please end this inning ASAP, because I will have an accident here on this field right now. Like it freaking just crushed me, and I was dying laughing because I was like, man, maybe next time when I try these health hacks, I'm not going to try it right before a game because it freaking toasted me. But I did it for a little while, and I'd work out. Like I'd have the MCT oil, the butter, the grass-fed butter, and have black coffee. And because I don't like to eat before I work out, so I train fasted. I always train fasted. I feel better when I train fasted, and so I would have that, and it was like enough for me to get after it. There's so many cool things that I think that are out there.
For sure. But, I figured I'd ask you that. Yeah, we could talk about that for hours. But I know Pep's, he's looking at the time here and he's going, wait a second, we got to get into the dilemma and we got to get into the tap-in segment. So the tap-in segment's presented by Bettinardi Golf. Check them out online at bettinardi.com. But we have a little bit of a dilemma here, and that is bringing in this new aspect of the show called the dilemma. And it's all pertinent to golf. So, Pep, dive in, bud.
All right. Who wins in a debate, you or your wife, Tommy?
That's easy. My wife, 100% of the time.
For lunch. Huh?
That's the first thing people are like, you're married to Tommy Lahren? I'm like, yes. And they're like, you probably never win an argument. I'm like,
nope.
No. But really, how many men do win an argument?
Exactly.
Favorite catcher of all time?
Yogi Berra.
That's a good one. 3 clubs for a round of golf. What are you picking? You can only take 3 with you.
All right. So I will have my driver. I'm going to have a 7-iron and a 60 degree, and I'll putt with my driver.
There you
go. That's
good.
one.
That's what I was hoping. No putter. Too many people take the putter. All right. Golfer's dilemma, and then we got one more question. All right. You get invited.
Why don't you do the question first, bud, then the dilemma?
Right. What are you chasing?
Birdies.
There you go.
All right. I like it.
All right. The golfer's dilemma. You get invited to play in a member guest, all right? And you and the member win the whole entire member guest. If the member asks for money to go towards the entry fee, do you pay them? Because
So
you got to figure that you won a ton of money at the end of it.
Okay.
All right. You win $2,000.
And they're asking. Okay. And the guest fee is $500.
And the guest fee is $1,200. And he says, "Give me $600 of that money that we won back." Do you?
Yeah, right away.
You do.
Wow.
Right away, because here's the thing: I wouldn't be there if I didn't get the invite from the guest. And honestly, I mean, I don't play. If we won, I'm more fired up that we won than the cash that I won along with it.
There you go, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen.
That's okay. I didn't know what you were going to say there, but yeah.
No, I 100%.
I like it.
I'm all in on that stuff, man. If I get invited somewhere, then I'm already gracious enough that I'm just like, dude, I just got to play a nice track, a nice little event, and so I mean, we're probably not going to win. Let's be honest.
Well, I'll tell you this much: whenever your season, I don't know, when's your season end?
September 25th, around there somewhere.
So after September 25th, when you're traveling from New York back to Nashville, Tennessee, you and your wife need to come to Nemacolin, which is a 5-star resort. We'll take care of everything there for you. It's awesome, man. It is an incredible spot. It's in the mountains. It's two beautiful golf courses, spa out of this world. So we'll work on some days with you on that. And then again, dude, we appreciate you coming on.
Dude, thanks. And I'm glad that Jim connected us because
shout out
Red
Jim.
Van
Shout out Red Van.
I would be remiss if I didn't say, like, dude, Red Van Lee, best pants in the game. Honestly, their clothes are great, but like I live in their pants and their shorts.
Joggers are so good.
Dude, there's nothing, honestly, and it's not because of,
the relationship
like
and all that.
Relationship. It's like I'm very big on good product, right? So like if the people are great and the product's great, like I will freaking rep it to the wheels come off. And it's fantastic. Jim has been great. I've talked to Andrew every once in a while on social media. They've been fantastic. So I'm happy that they connected us, but like, no lie, it's a game changer. It really is. Because I wear the pants and people are like, man, what are those? And I'm like, they're Red Van Lee. And they're like, and then I show them the whole thing, like and they're like, what? Well, that looks like a regular pant. I'm like, yeah,
so good.
Believe me.
It's so good. So
awesome. Yep.
My man, JP, good luck to you and the Mets organization this year. Thank you again. Hit them straight, smoke them good. And I can't wait to smoke a cigar with you, man.
Yeah, no, I'm fired up to be able. We'll tee it up one day. We'll smoke cigars, and then we'll hop in a cold tub after.
There you go.
And
I love it, my man.
All right.
And we'll get the full shebang.
There we go. Thanks again, JP.
My man, JP, not me. JP, the baseball player, huh? What a story, man. I mean, I would say that this is probably the deepest podcast we ever did. Would you agree or disagree? I mean, this is the theme, so do you disagree or agree?
Well, I agree. I think, getting into some of that talk about mental health and awareness and being present and giving yourself grace, all that whole jazz, like we could have talked about that forever. And
I know you two could have.
But you two could have talked about cigars forever.
And we could have talked about cigars forever, and I love that. So basically, we're going to sit in a little circle. You're going to sprinkle salts all over them, and I'm going to smoke a cigar with them.
Shit, dude.
That's what we're going to do.
I love it, man. No, it was great. So thank you, JP, for coming on, blessing us with another JP in the room for a short period of time.
Yeah, we really appreciate that. And again, stay tuned. We're going to have a lot of content coming up from this weekend in Pinehurst. And then our next episode is going to be a banter session. because we're going to have a lot from this weekend that we're going to talk about: who missed the cut, who made the cut, the funny shit that happened. So I'm really looking forward to it. And if you guys want to, go follow IP Caters. The guy will be filming all of us for everything. So tune in for that. And then stay tuned for the 4-ball at Sunny Hannah. It's going to be a good time. August 4th to the 6th, Sunday practice round, 5th, 6th, 4-ball, best ball event that apparently we got in. We're trying to get in. I don't know what's happening, but we're really
Sounds
excited.
like we might be in the mix, bud.
I'm really excited for this and really to see how our game can mesh together in a major event. So check it out, Sunny Hannah, 4-ball amateur.
Well, I can tell you how our game would mesh together in a heavyweight battled event. It would go down something like this. We'd be grooving. Something would happen. You'd get flustered. I'd try to calm you down. You get back on track. 5 holes to go, you're done. I join the party. I'm done. And there we go. Now, we keep the commitment level up. Then you and
We're
good. We're good. And that's kind of what... Go ahead.
Go
No, go ahead.
You go ahead.
I was going to say, it's kind of what happened when you and I were warming up for this event at Pinehurst. We were playing target practice in the middle of the desert on a beautiful simulator.
Yeah.
At Nemacolin Resort in Farmington, Pennsylvania. If you haven't been to Nemacolin, you have to give them a shot to earn your family vacation or private time with your couple, your loved ones, whoever. Check them out online at nemacolin.com. It's more than just golf. It's pure joy, pure luxury, amazing food, and phenomenal sightseeing in the Appalachian Mountains. Actually, I don't know if it's the Appalachian Mountains. It might be a different mountain range, but it's there. Farmington, Pennsylvania.
But you were on a heater with that until you at least could have sold it like you knew, because it was a really good swipe up.
Well, because there's a range that kind of comes into play. Anyways, but you get the point. It's great.
So the conversation that we had with JP, the new segment. What's your take?
I mean, my take is that no, because if you hadn't won, then the question wouldn't even be coming up, right? So winning, then yeah, it just doesn't make sense. Like, the only way it makes sense is if it's like an asterisk in the beginning. Hey, bud, you're my guest.
Hey, we're gonna split this down the middle.
You're my guest. I'm paying for you. In the event we win and we get all the fucking money, you're on the hook for half the fee. Okay, deal. But you can't pivot off the 18th green and go, hey, bud, I need 600. But I get his point, because he's saying, hey, if he didn't invite me to begin with, I want to be there.
Yeah.
But you're the guest. So that was a good one. And you know what,
but
dude?
I mean, we're at the FBO right now doing this recording, so
we could ask this question to a lot of people, and people out there listening. I want to know. We got this video we posted.
Send us.
I want to know
what you would do in this situation, or what you do in this situation, because that's why we're asking. We don't know.
Right.
So,
anyways, bud. Well,
my Chick-fil-A sandwich is getting a little cold, bud.
Yeah, you better eat that. And I'll see you when we touch down.
Yeah. We're direct flight from Washington, PA to Southern Pines, PA, North Carolina. And good luck to you and your parties this weekend, bud. And good luck to all the contestants in the 30th Pine Needles Invitational. See you there. Chasin_birdie. Like it, love it, tap it.
Yeah, guys. Man, Pep, good luck to you and BK, Tango, and Neely Walker, and IP. I can't wait to see you, bud. Thank you all for listening today to our first episode of Season 4 here on Chasing Birdies. If you're into golf, this weekend is the Cognizant Classic in the Palm Beaches, which used to be the Honda Classic. McElroy's in the field, apparently. We appreciate all the love. Thank you to Evo at Simpler Media for putting this thing together. Jacqueline and Rachel for all your social media help. We'll catch y'all in 2.